Good morning, everybody. Thanks for watching. Welcome back to another episode of Blackberry Ridge. Do you call it an episode of Blackberry Ridge if that's your channel name? Welcome back to another episode of What's in the Life of Homestead Vlogging, brought to you by Blackberry Ridge. Ridge. Is that better? That's really bad. I'm gonna have to cut all that. Hey everybody, we are, I don't really know what we're doing today. It's up here in the morning up at Blackberry Ridge, and I know one thing: I've got to unload Cowboy off the trailer. He was at my house helping me move some stuff for the shop. He's got to go into the barn because I need an empty trailer, because you pay all that money for those movers. You've got all that crap inside that barn, and guess what? There's still more crap. So I have to help Marmy and Pappy. I don't have to, I'm doing it happily. But we still have stuff to move. So we've got to fill this trailer up with stuff. Some of it's mine, I'll admit, some of it's mine. So I got to take some to my house. We got to take some more back out here to the barn, which just makes me sad because we're filling this thing up with more crap, more hoarding. So we're going to do that today. I need to do some work on the road. You heard me right. I need to do some work on the road. I don't know if that'll be part of this video or a whole separate one. I mean, throw a dart at the wall, and we need to be doing that today. So fill the wall with a bunch of chores. Literally put a blindfold on, throw a dart. It could land on something that needs to be done. So we are going to get started, I guess, with moving. Oh boy, it's Super Bowl Sunday. Let me know in the comments below who your favorite team was. You're probably not going to see this until a couple of days after, so don't cheat and tell me who won. Tell me who you were rooting for. And yeah, so let's get started. We're going to get this thing unloaded, get him put up, and then we're going to go back to town, do some moving. I don't know if I'm going to show you any of the moving or loading, but I'll probably show you some of the unloading back up at the barn. And yeah, so just a day filled, ooh, you probably got a good dose of the sun right there. A day filled with, I don't know really what we're doing. At this point, you know as much about what we're doing today as I know. So let's get to getting it. Now back to town. Here we go. Well, we made it back up here with a load full of crap. We got one more load of crap to take, and then we'll be done moving for the day and on to the next thing. I'll show you when the trailer gets empty. Second and final load, and then we are done moving. And I'm not showing you moving in videos anymore, but this is it. We just got to get this trailer unloaded. So we're doing that right now, and then I'll come show you some pretty cool stuff that my dad has collected from being passed down in the family. So let's get this unloaded, and then I'll show you that stuff. Okay, so you saw in the last video we put the trickle chargers on everything to maintain them. My Ranger was completely dead, so now the trickle charger's been on it all night. The light says what?
Fully charged.
Fully charged, so we'll see if she'll go. Get this seat moved out of the way. Good sound. There she goes. Something about hooking up the light. Something's drawing some power with the winch and all that. So we're just gonna have to leave them on trickle chargers until we can figure it out. Or I disconnect everything and or we just disconnect everything and only hook them up to the terminals when we need it. So let's go up front, and I'm gonna let Dad tell you about some of the family stuff he brought from Georgia. Okay, we got two different pieces here. Dad, what are they?
Well, this is a single plow that was pulled by a horse that's been modified by my granddad to be able to hook onto a 3-point. So that's the 3-point attachment, and there's the top link. And this was an old plow buggy with the iron wheels, not a plow buggy, a seeding. So these old buckets were full of seed, and they'd fall out right down there by those discs. And this was horse-drawn, and this is probably from the 1910 era.
Wow. And
this was Granddad's, and they actually great-granddads, my great-granddad, so it'd be your great-great-granddad's.
Wow. Granddad's granddad.
Yeah, so Granddad, who you've seen, actually rode on this with a horse in front and would plant gardens for Grandma with it. So it was an old seed buggy. So it's really cool, really old.
Wow,
so it's going out in the garden as just an artifact.
And this all originated in Pryor, America?
Pryor, Oklahoma. It's right next to Salina. I mean, literally it was across the river from the lake, Hudson Lake from Salina. So there's those two, and then over here, this is an old churn, butter churn. And my Uncle Buck had it, and he converted it to just a garden place to put flowers and stuff. Here's another little old single. This is for your garden.
That's like my Haas wheel hoe that I won at the at Daniel's deal.
Yeah, except this is from about 1930, and it was my granddad's as well.
Wow.
And then over here is a goat feeder. It's a creeper feeder that is probably from 1950 that Uncle Buck had over at his house, and it came from Granddad as well. So
the bottom's all rusted out?
Everything's all rusted out. It's just something to put in the garden as something cool, you know.
You wouldn't like weld on the piece to the bottom of the trough and reuse it?
Well, you could, but it's more valuable to me as just a keepsake and something to put out as something to talk about out in the garden. When we get all those raised beds out over there, most of this stuff's going in those gardens, just strategically placed to look cool.
That too?
Yep, everything. We just went over.
Buck made this probably?
Yeah, Buck was a welder. He worked for Georgia Pacific, and he welded all his life. And so everything he did, he welded. He had a giant welder, and I let it get away from me because I wasn't here when he was auctioning off all this stuff, and your mama bought all this stuff from the family in an auction. Yeah. I have an anvil back there that is 178 pounds that came from my great-great-grandfather.
Oh my.
Yeah. And he actually, his name was James Preston, and it's from 1907.
When did
and it's a 178 pound anvil. If you take a ball bearing and drop it on it, it'll jump all the way up in the sky for you. And it's a world class anvil. It's worth about $1,000.
How'd that get passed down? Through Buck?
Through Buck, who was the welder.
Uncle Buck is my grandpa's brother, who you guys have seen on the channel a bunch. and he died a couple of years ago. So we acquired, well, I say we, Dad acquired a lot of this in kind of a little family auction deal. So I'm going to go show you that anvil because it is really cool. And we'll have a lot more videos on the anvil because I think we want to get into doing some metal fabbing and having our own forge set up in this barn too. So this won't be the last time you see the anvil, but it'll be the first. So this will be our little forging area. We're in the far, kind of there's the overhead door. You guys have seen that. So just to give you an idea of where we're at, this will be the forging area. We already have two 20-wire Randa right here, so we can run a welder or anything we need to hook up here. But that's the anvil you're talking about?
Yep. 1907. Once I get it cleaned up, I'll clean it up and get the rust off of it again. I've already done it once,
right?
But that sucker is a heavy mother. It's all there.
Oh my goodness.
It is all there.
I mean, that took 2 fingers. Usually it wouldn't take that much for me. There's some markings on the side of it. What does that say? 1851?
It tells the weight.
Oh.
It's a 185. Sorry, I said it was 178. It's a 185 pounder.
185 pound anvil.
That's what that says. It's 185 pounds. It's stamped.
Pretty cool. And that's not sentimental, is it?
It's not sentimental. I bought it at another auction, but that's old and it's a real good one. So it's going to mount up on our steel table, and that's got to mount up on a big tree log and chain it down so it'll be there when we want to hammer on it and use it.
Well, cool. Well, that's it, guys. Sorry there's not a bunch. We're still in moving phase, but I think we're about out of it. We're going to start building the shop. We've got equipment sheds to come. We've got a house to build. We've got equipment we're still buying. A really cool big piece of equipment coming up pretty soon. So that's going to be it for today, though. And we'll see you next time.
Up on the ridge.
There we go.